Whatever path you put yourself in, God's path is the path that will prevail. He will put people in your way to give you the tools you need to succeed. Welcome back to another episode of Testimony. Thank you so much, Brother Patrick, for joining us, and we're honored to have you here to share your testimony. Thank you so much for being here.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
Before we get into this testimony, just tell us a little bit about yourself and who you are now.
Yeah, so like you said, Patrick Petit Frere, come from a pastoral family. You know, my father was a pastor ever since I could remember. In fact, I remember my mom always give a story that at age 5, I used to always try to imitate my father. After he would finish preaching, I would stand on a chair in front of the shed, right? And try to imitate him, you know what I mean? Preaching and stuff like that at 5, you know what I mean? And I guess the following week I told my mom that same day, I want to be a patter. That's what I told her. I want to be a patter, right? And then the following week, I tell her, I don't think I could be a patter because I don't know how to read, you know? Wow. So I guess, you know, me wanting to be like my dad, all that, you know, in my young years or whatever, you know what I'm saying? That always was something that I always wanted to do. I always wanted to please my pops. Anyway, so growing up, you know what I mean? It was 5 of us. I was the middle child, but I was always that child that was, I guess, one foot in the world, one in the church, you know what I'm saying? Being pulled, because there was a lot of pressure just being a pastoral kid, a pastor, a PK, you know what I mean? But anyway, I guess we'll go more into detail into that later on, but who I am today, I'm a new man. I am a hip hop artist. I'm an author, you know, a business owner, a husband, 3 kids, you know what I mean? And I just love Jesus.
Amen. So you talked about being a pastor's kid and the pressures that you face. Can you go into detail about growing up as a pastor's kid?
Yeah. So, you know, I think like one of the stories we were sharing earlier, like, you know, we would, I guess and I think a lot of PKs could attest to this, every pastor kid or any minister child, mm-hmm. There's like a level of perfection that I guess the congregation expect for us to meet. You know what I mean? Like, because they're the pastor kid, you know what I mean? They should know John 3:16. You know what I mean? They should know at least 10 verses. You know what I'm saying? They should know Psalm 23 by heart. You know what I mean? And that's not the reality all the time. You know what I'm saying? Not only that, you know what I mean? I guess there's a level of comparison where a lot of families tend to compare their kids with the pastor's kids. You know what I'm saying? And when they see the pastor kid not living up to that standard, then they tend to crucify that kid. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of different things or whatever. So not only those type of pressures that was happening with me, I would say it was like the whole being forced to be in the church environment. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, you had no option, especially in the Haitian home. Listen, l'église, like l'école, right? That's what they say. You know what I'm saying? That's it. You had no option. So it's like being in church while your friends out on the playground, especially we used to do revivals during 4th of July, you know what I mean? And we couldn't even really enjoy the fireworks. Like fireworks was of the devil back then, you know what I'm saying? So all those type of pressures that we experienced was just very like strenuous, you know what I'm saying, on our, I would say on our soul and our psyche. So anyway, and a lot, we could say that's one thing, but then you have the enemy. You got the demonic world who wants to keep us bound and so that we don't get to discover our purpose. So they, I guess the enemy tends to put different things in our way, in our track, in order to lead us outside of the will of God. So that way we can go out there and think that outside of the church is better than what's in the church. So anyway, those type of pressures I was talking about, like I said, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So in Psalm 1 verse 1, it says, "Blessed is the man who does not walk in the counsel of the wicked, or stand in the way of sinners, or sit in the seat of mockers. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and on this law he meditates day and night." You talk about, how your cousins and your brothers influenced certain decisions that you made. Can you get into that a little bit, growing up as a teenager, having these influences affect you?
Yeah, absolutely. So, definitely, I've experienced all of that, standing, walking, and sitting in the council of the ungodly. And you know, that just was the and not only that, I think it was just the environment that I was in, you know.
Mhm.
So I would say, yeah, you get the pressures from being a younger sibling. I got two older brothers. I currently have two older brothers, but I was that middle child, always wanting to please them and live up to their expectations.
Right.
So, and they were already ahead of the game while, already in high school, you know what I mean, involved and stuff like that. You know, so me, I wanted to be like that, having all the girls thinking that, yo, you know what, we out here chilling, hanging, you know what I mean, whatever. And come to realize that, that was something that became a god to me. You know what I'm saying? I started to, instead of wanting to please the God that I didn't know, I didn't know that God, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? But I was wanting to please the closest thing to me, which was my brothers, you know what I'm saying? My friends in school. When I went to junior high school, well, forget about it. I mean, that's just when the whole world opened up to me, where sin, word, okay, sin look like this. What? Let's go. You know what I'm saying? So every day I lived with the high call. I was motivated to see and I think when a person is dead to Christ, when you don't know who you are in God,
Mhm.
you're left to do certain things, left to try to fill voids in your life, thinking that I'm empty in this area. Okay, so I think I need a girl. Or I'm empty in this area. I need companionship with this person.
Wow.
I'm empty in this, so I need a drink. I need to hang out over here with that crowd. Instead of understanding, like, yo, all of those things are strings that's pulling at me, that's
Mhm.
trying to lead me different places apart from where God intended for me to go. So I would say that, you know what I mean, I had all types of strings that was pulling on my spirit, you know what I'm saying, until, it was that defining moment where, and that was all throughout my, from junior high school to high school, you know what I'm
Mhm.
saying, even going into college, where that's when God, me switched things up for me, you know what I mean? So yeah, so
So you fell into certain things that did not align with what God wanted you to do. Can you get into details about certain things that you did not, you knew it was wrong, and you knew God did not like that. So can you get into details
yeah,
about that?
absolutely. See, there's a passage in Galatians chapter 5:19 where it talks about the works of the flesh and the
Mhm.
deeds of the flesh. And I mean, it gives a list of all, like, fornication. It gives a list of, you know what I mean, or just a bunch of things that just doesn't, line up with the will of God, right? And I lived it all. I mean, I was a part of, you know what I mean, so many different things, selling drugs, you know what I'm saying, at a very young age, you know what I'm saying, in my teens, you know what I'm saying, selling drugs. It was just a lot, man, like hanging out with crowds, not going to school, cutting class, you know what I'm saying, you know, um, being very promiscuous. I guess promiscuous, that's the word, I guess,
Yeah.
right? So out there just thinking whatever, Solomon said something in the scriptures where, I think in Ecclesiastes, how he didn't withhold anything from his eyes. Whatever his heart desired, he took it. You know what I'm saying? He yielded himself to that desire. And, and it's funny how later on in the scripture, he said, listen, it's best that we serve the Lord while we're young. You know what I'm saying? The matter, he said, at the end of the day, we need to serve the Lord young. And I didn't fall in that category. It was to the point where I found myself, in a state of depression, because everything that I did didn't bring satisfaction or just a resolve. You know what I mean? It didn't really help me in those areas. You know what I'm saying? So I think I was just bound to the flesh. So I tasted everything. You know what I mean? Got involved in all this stuff to the point where it left me empty and dry. And I think that's when God came to rescue and resuscitate, or actually revive whatever was dormant inside of me. You know what I mean? And so
When you talked about earlier, you talked about you did not know God, and I'm trying to understand, as a pastor's kid, right? And going to church, being forced to go to church. Was it a forced type of thing where I have to sit here because my pastor is the pastor, like my father's the pastor? So yeah,
right,
yeah.
like, I mean, that's pretty much what it was. I mean, I think every pastor kid start off like that.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Where you ain't had no choice. Cause I ain't paying no bills at the house. I'm
Right.
I'm living here with you. You know what I mean? So where we go? We going today? Are we going to church? It was to the point where, when I finally got to the point where I was able to work, you know what I mean? I think I had my first Wendy's job or something like that. And I started making excuses, even though I know I don't work on Sundays. I said, no, I got to go to work on Sundays. You know what I mean? So I can avoid going to church. I don't know. For me, I think that just was. But it's funny because it was like a bittersweet situation for us, for me, because I like the fellowship that I had at the church. All my friends were at the church. Like we did a lot of desert in the church, right? So it's like it was still cool to go to church, but I think it's that rebellious spirit when, especially when your parents tell you to do something and you mad at them for no reason. I'm like, I don't want to do it because they're telling me that. You know what I'm saying? If it's somebody else saying, "Hey, Pat, come to church, we're gonna be having fun," all right, I'll come through. You know what I'm saying? So it was one of those type. It's crazy how the enemy play with your mind, but it's because he's trying to keep you from discovering the real you, your purpose. You know what I'm saying? And so I didn't know. I knew scriptures. I knew certain songs. I knew all of those. I knew all of that. But I knew the scriptures, but the scriptures didn't come alive to me. It was all head knowledge. And somebody said you can miss heaven from 6 by 6 inches, from the head to the heart. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's why I just had. I could recite even in French. Psalm 23. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, all of that. But until I had an encounter with God, that's when things came alive to me. Like, whoa, you see. So that's why I said, like, I think everyone start off not knowing God. I don't care who you are. You could even be a pastor. You know what I'm saying, and still be far away from the Lord. Because every day it's a day for you to know Him more and more again. I mean, the closer we live, the longer we live, the closer we should we should be getting towards the Lord. You know what I mean? So.
When you started to go down the wrong path and got into drugs and sex, did you ever think about your calling and the plan that God has for you? Like, did that ever go through your head? Like, I'm sitting here, smoking weed or, hanging out with these people, but I know that God has a plan for me and I'm not doing it. Like, how did that affect you?
Yeah, so the interesting thing is that with me, God always had a way of, like, I mean, there was a time I remember I was like, rolling up something. I was on the back of the bus and I was like about to smoke something. Not even smoke something. I was just rolling it up to smoke it later. But I was doing it in a public, like, no, some respect. I didn't have respect for it. You know what I mean? And that's not my nature. Like, my mom raised me right. My parents raised us to respect people. But anyway, this one guy, as I was doing that, and there's like a lot of people in the back of the bus. This one guy, he was from the same area that I was at. I lived at, and he said, God loves you, right?
Mm.
So, and I'm like, oh man, here we go. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna go. And I knew those was like moments where God was just trying to sow seeds, you know what I'm saying? Because I knew, like, but then that brought conviction. I always had a sense of conviction. Like, whenever people talk about God, like, oh man, I know I shouldn't be doing this. You know what I'm saying? But I didn't understand that it was connected to purpose. That's why I shouldn't be doing this. It was more of like, I know I shouldn't be doing this because I know that God exists and I know He's real. You know what I'm saying? But I didn't understand how that transpired to my purpose. You know what I'm saying? How you could be forfeiting your purpose by being so indulged in the things, the practices of the flesh, right? So I always knew that something. In fact, when I was in high school, they called me Life. My cousin gave me the name Life. Like, you know what I mean? I started first day of school. He running through the bleachers like, yo, anybody mess with you, man, Life, I got you. You know what I mean? So I had a lot of respect coming into high school. You know what I'm saying? So, um, but like now, as a new man in God, you know what I mean? I'm Second Life as an artist. My artist name is Second Life. You know what I'm saying? So, I didn't understand it was all purpose intent, but God was always working behind the scenes, even when I understand it, I didn't realize it. You know what I'm saying? So I would say when it comes to, when I was out there, there was little moments when I look back in retrospect. While you're in the moment, you don't know. While you're in the moment, while you know what I mean, dabbing, meddling with sin, you don't really know. You know what I mean? Because sin, if we go be honest, sin is pleasurable. You know what I mean? Sin is good. Like, right? Sin is good. Like I said, God is good. Sin is good. You know what I mean? But God is better. You know what I mean? God is greater. Once you come to realize that sin is like something that's trying to replace God. You know what I mean? It's a false God. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of us yield to sin instead of yielding to God. So I know I'm talking too much, but again.
You're fine. So let's get into that. I don't want to say scene, but let's get into that bus, right? Where you see this man is approaching you and he looks familiar, right? And he's about to say something to you. And you have this oh, you have a blunt in your hand, right? How how are you feeling? Like he says God loves you. Like what's going through your head right now?
Yeah, when he said that, when he said God loves me, man, it's funny. Like that began our relationship. I started talking to him more. You know what I mean? Because we got off at the same stop. He lived in my same area, so I started talking to him more, and he was just kind of like pouring into me a little bit here and there. But he knew I was still a work in progress. He knew that God was working and tugging on my heart. So when I heard those words, "God love you," and like, yo, man, you know you better than that, right? He even said that. He said, "You mean you better than," you know what I mean? Like, I think he even said, "Your parents know you're doing this." I think he said that. Yeah, you know what I mean? So I'm like, come on, yo, chill, bro. And here's the thing, a side of me wanted to be like, yo, you right, bro, man. Just pray for me. I'm sorry, man. I'm wilding out. You know what I mean? A side of me want to do that. The good side of me, the one who was raised right wanted me to do that. 'Cause I know I have more respect in that. But then I'm around my friends and my homie. Ain't nobody gonna play me like this. So I'm on some like, yo, come on, man, stop playing, bro. You know what I'm saying? I'm good. Like I ain't bothered. You know what I mean? So it was one of those, like you still trying to please people. You know what I'm saying? To please your friends. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I'm violating somebody else who he just want the best for me. So anyway, we started talking, we started communicating, and come to find out he was a pastor. He was a pastor. That dude was a pastor, and he's a pastor at Christ Community Church. I think Christ Tabernacle. He was a youth pastor down there, and he invited me to pull up sometimes. You know what I'm saying? He's like, yo, come to the church, man. He always wanted me to come. It's crazy when I think about it. I didn't realize that was a call that God was, you know what I mean?
Wow.
So it was stuff like that. And then we just, you know, kept the relationship, you know what I mean? Kept talking, bumping heads and like that, you know?
So you also talked about you fell into selling drugs, right? Were you ever scared at one point, or were you ever like worried that I'm gonna get arrested, and how's the church gonna feel? How's my family gonna feel?
So I have a funny story. It wasn't funny. It's an interesting story. So I used to not really go you know, the drugs. You know what I'm saying? Like you got weed and then you got drugs, right? So I never went that route with the drugs. You know what I'm saying? I went the weed route. You know what I'm saying? Like because there was a lot of money to be made, you know, whatever in that space. But it wasn't even a lot. But anyway, so I had few contacts, especially living in the environment I was living in. You know, going to certain schools and certain areas. You know what I'm saying? Especially, you know, in the Queens area, it was like that for me, right? So I used to pick up, you know what I mean, certain amounts of this, you know, the weed, right? You know what I mean? Is it okay for me to even talk? Like, are we good?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Okay, cool. So as I'm picking this up, right? One day, one moment, I remember I was what you call it? I picked up something, I had it in my vehicle, and I was driving with a friend of mine who was kind of crippled, you know what I'm saying, because he got shot, you know what I'm saying, in the area. So anyway, we was driving, we were supposed to go somewhere, or we were supposed to smoke something, I don't know. We ended up getting pulled over by police.
Boy.
Yes, and I had that. I just finished picking up the thing, right? And it was a good amount. Like I knew if they caught me,
The car smells.
yes. So not only did the car smell like that, but we had the substance where this was stuff for me to sell, right? So it's like a good amount. And then so good thing. I don't know if this is the grace of God, but God helped me in this area, right? Good thing. My friend who was crippled, right? He took it and stashed it in. Yeah, he hid it for me. The beauty behind that is that they only searched me. They didn't search him because he was crippled.
Right.
You see? So the grace of God was even seen while I was in my sin. I was in my mess. Grace of God was rescuing me and, you know what I mean? Like protecting me even in that. So but like I said, like who put me onto it? It was just the nature of my surroundings. It was just the energy that was around me. I think that's what, because everybody, that's what they do. Oh, we need extra money, especially you. I wasn't on no allowance. I wasn't working, right? You know what I mean? It was like, okay, and this is what we did. And I'm outside on the block anyway, so why not have something for people who, you know what I mean, wanted to get high, right? So that's the mindset I had. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's pretty much was the situation. It was just who I was around. You know what I mean?
Tell us about the day that you started to hallucinate. What did you go through? If you still remember, what did you hear and what did you see?
Yeah. So, all right. I think I was turning 18. I was at some kind of party or something like that. It was me and a few friends, and we were smoking some weed. And for some reason, and now when I look back in retrospect, I don't think it was lace because I don't think it was laced. I know it wasn't because after the fact, when I was hospitalized, they didn't find anything in my system. But
Wow.
I said that to say this because I was the only one responding, like, and I was the only one hallucinating.
Wow.
You know what I mean? We smoking the same thing, but I'm the only one bugging out. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? And it was just very, weird that, and I thought they laced me because I didn't know the people that I was with. I didn't know them like that. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? I just had a few close friends that was with me. You know what I'm saying? But then there was the person who, in particular, who actually had, you know what I mean, the weed. You know what I mean? Back then, you didn't really care who had it. Like, yo, come on, you guys, we need to smoke. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't
Yeah.
like, yo, what kind of weed? Yo, where you get that from? We didn't
You
really
didn't ask
do.
any questions.
Yeah, we didn't interview nobody on that. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, let's go. You know what I'm saying? So, so when I was bugging out, when I was, you know what I mean, I was like, oh my God, I couldn't feel my hands. I was like, yo, what's happening here? Like, literally, I felt, it's so weird because that happened a couple of times to me as I was smoking weed. One time I was on the way to school. It was a morning, like, and I'm in the morning and we smoking. We get off the bus, about to walk a few blocks down towards the school, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't feel my hands. Oh my God. And it was just so awkward. It's like people like, yo, Pat, chill, relax. You all right?
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Yeah, they're
So
like,
they're
why are you
trying to calm
bugging?
me
Yeah.
down, but I didn't know. It almost feel like a out of body experience.
Wow.
Yeah, like I felt like I was a spirit. You know what I'm saying? Just like I didn't. It's weird when I think about it because I felt like it wasn't, like I couldn't touch my hands. I felt like I was just like not here. I was disconnected, right? And that's the same thing that happened when I was smoking weed the first initial time, and that's when I got hospitalized. And then they started saying, "Oh, you know what? Oh, he's schizo." You know what I'm saying? Because I thought I was hearing voices. I thought I was not hallucinating. I was how you call it? I was paranoid. You know what I mean? Thinking
Wow.
people try to kill me. You know what I mean? I was very, like, it was crazy. You know what I'm saying? And
So they're already trying to diagnose you with schizo.
yep, schizo, defect, and then they also said bipolar. You know what I'm saying? So it's like so many different labels they were starting to, you know what I mean, give me because of how I was responding. But to me, I look at it as, okay, God, just like you see the Apostle Paul, you know what I mean, was on his way to Damascus to knock down some Christians, to not knock down, to kill Christians, to arrest Christians, to persecute Christians. Jesus stops him dead in his tracks, saying,
Right.
Acts chapter 8 or 9, something like that, and 8 chapter, and then he said, "Hey, why do you persecute me?" And it's like, it's a weird question to be asking, to be posing, because Paul is not necessarily persecuting Jesus per se. He's persecuting Christians, right? And Jesus is on some, like, if you persecute them, you persecuting me because they represent me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I think Jesus had to blind him, you know what I'm saying, and actually send him off to another place in order to receive further instructions. But then he came to a place where you could see that God knocked him down off his high horse to humble him. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like he got blinded. You know what I mean? So God, there was like a physical ramification, a physical situation that happened that caused him to be humbled. And I think that's what God did. He had to touch my mind, like, yo, Pat, you're not in control over your destiny. You're not in control over your life and over what happens to you. Listen, I'm in control. Like, people say that, oh, they got gangsters in the hood. No, God is a real gangster. You don't play with God. You know what I mean? God is the OG. You know what I mean? So he earned my respect in those moments. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
So in a Haitian Christian household, right? Psych ward and mental health, drugs is a big thing. Like, it's like up here to biggest things.
Right, of course.
So what was the reaction of the pastor's son in a psych ward, in the mental hospital, in a hospital? And yeah.
So it's funny because my father, during that time, he was one of my main supporters, man. It's like, for me, whatever was inside of me, and I don't know if you guys, like, to me, I feel like there was a level of, like, demonic influence heavy on my life, you know what I'm saying? That was trying to keep me from discovering me, right? I remember one time I was having an episode and I came home. And as I came home, they started singing, like, Shadespa songs. And I was like, I guess whatever that was tormenting me, I kept covering my ears. Like, I didn't want to hear those Sunday School songs.
Wow.
I didn't want the prayers. I didn't want, and I'm on the floor like, no. You know what I'm saying? Like, so God's love was trying to penetrate. God's love was trying to invade and eradicate whatever was inside of me. But I'm on some, like, whatever was on me was on some, nah, y'all stay away from me. So I'm over here kicking and just like, get away, whatever, right? It was stuff like that. So, but my dad, in that time, I remember him so vividly, like always praying, crying out to God. Like, while I'm in the other room, he's just seeking God. Like, the way he fought that battle was through prayer. You know what I'm saying? And they're pretty my pops always say, like, there's difference between prayer and prayer. He's like, yo, there's those who pray to get by, and those who pray as their lifeline. You know what I'm saying? Wow. And I think, my father, he lived out prayer. That was his thing. Like, he got so many breakthroughs through prayer. There was a time where we didn't know how to pay the mortgage. We didn't know how things were going to happen. My father said, you know what? We're going to pray. We pray, and then God does his thing. You know what I'm saying? So Amen. It was time after time of seeing what prayer was able to do. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That was pretty much what it was. Like, so my pops was really encouraging. My mom at the same time she was like my counselor. My pops did more praying to God. My mom was the one that was more like counseling me. She was the one that, encouraging me and pouring into me and letting me know, like, yo, Pat, you gonna be okay. We gonna be out, or whatever, right? So it was one of those situations.
So in September of 2002, you attended a women's conference that changed your life for the better. Tell us about that experience and how that women's conference changed your life and what it meant to you.
Yeah, so it's funny. I was with my cousin Jimmy. Shout out to Jimmy Beans. You already know Muga. So we out here. We about to hop on the Brooklyn Bridge. Mm-hmm. True story. Listen what happened. So we about to hop on the Brooklyn Bridge. And as we about to we're driving, you know what I mean. And then we're in a little traffic. Two girls pull up next to us, right? And I'm on my way to Jersey to that women's conference to pick up someone at the time, right? And so the two girls pulls up next to us on some like, yo, what up, guys? Y'all trying to hang out tonight? Y'all want to chill? And mind you, I didn't know God, so I could have easily be like, "Yep, let's go." You know what I'm saying? It's me and my cousin. It's her and her friend. Let's go chill. So that that could have been the mindset, but something. While my mind is saying yes, my lips is saying no. I gotta go and pick up my girlfriend. That's what I said. And as soon as I said that, it went. It just drove off.
I didn't want to hear any of that.
Thing. So anyway, we get to the location, and I'm used to picking up my sisters and Verm at different events or whatever. And because I always reek with weed or cigarettes, so I'm always staying in the back of the church until they're done, so I could come and drop them home, right? So that was always my custom. This time, for some reason, I'm smelling like weed. My eyes are red. I put some little Visine so people think whatever, right? So. But I get to the location. As I get to the location, the usher wants to usher me to the front of the church.
Wow.
So I'm like, come on. And there's a perfect seat right on the front pew, right there at the corner, at the left side. And I'm like, oh, man, it's crazy. So anyway, I was like, all right, we here. And the woman, Minister Johanna Desir. Okay, that's Max Desir's wife. Because but she was preaching a message. I don't know what the message was, but I know she was preaching a message, and out of nowhere, I just heard an audible voice. For those who don't believe in audible voice of God, I heard it because that changed my life. Wow! And I heard God say, "Get on your knees." At first, I thought I was hallucinating. Again, hold on.
Again?
I'm like, in the church, we're gonna be doing this. You know what I'm saying? So then I heard a voice said, "Get on your knees." And out of nowhere, because I'm already in the spirit at this point, I'm already humbled by what's going on with the sermon. Right. Like, I know my business. How's everything going on like this? And there's a few people in the church that knew me or whatever. Pastor Jeffrey Jean Paul was there and all that. So I'm over there, and out of nowhere, I get on my knees, and then I guess that wasn't enough for God. He said, "Now get on your belly." Yes, exactly. So I'm like, nah, we're really bugging out now. You know what I'm saying? But I did that because it wasn't really more of like what he said. It's what I was feeling.
Right.
Like the weight of his presence was so heavy on me that I couldn't stay on my knees. And he was like, "Get on your belly." I get on my belly, and that's when I knew, okay, God is doing this thing. The minute I hit the floor, I started speaking in tongues. I started just like my spirit started just connecting with the God of my salvation. I started being identified with, yo, this is real. Yo, what's going on? It was to the point that I was speaking in tongues so uncontrollably, to the point that people came surrounding me, laying their hands on me, thinking it's a demon. Like, come against it. Yeah, I heard all types of stuff. We come against that demon. That's all that, you know what I mean? But then there was one, Pastor Jeffrey Jean Paul pulled me to the side, and he was letting me know what was happening. He said, out of your belly shall flow rivers of living water. And that's what was happening. God was cleansing you. He was purifying you. He was making you new again. And that was what was happening. That was my defining moment. I tell you, it's real. I came into that service a sinner. I left a saint. I literally didn't have a desire to smoke weed no more. I didn't have a desire to be promiscuous anymore. I didn't have a desire. In fact, to the point that I wanted to preach immediately. I went to my dad. I said, Dad, I got to share my testimony as soon as I got home. I got to share my testimony on a Saturday. I wanted to share my testimony that Sunday. I said, Dad, I got to. My dad was like, nah, Pat. He used wisdom. He was like, yo, Pat, you're not ready. Not ready. Because it's only hours away from what happened. You know what I mean? And I'm thinking I'm a new man. I'm ready to just evangelize, right? But it was wise of him to do that, because while I sat there Sunday morning, I knew that I had an encounter with this living God, and tears are falling down my eye. Like, I just want to tell the people. I just want to share my story with the people. You know what I mean? And, although I didn't get to do it that moment, that was my beginning and my journey to wholeness, and my journey to becoming who this new man is. You know what I mean? Preaching and things of that nature. So, yeah.
So in 2003 through 2005, you decided to go to Bible school. Tell me about that decision, to become a pastor. You changed your life, and now I'm going to go to school to become a pastor.
So I got ordained September 15th. No, not ordained. I got saved, transformed, delivered, healed, set free, right? 2002 of September. And I want to say somewhere in October, around my birthday sometime, I just heard, I was in the restroom one time doing numero deux, right? You know what I mean? I was chilling. I know that's too much information, but that's just God's honest truth. So I was just there, and I heard the audible voice again from God. Yeah. He said that you are going to be a pastor.
Wow.
He planted that in my head. I'm like, and immediately I just connected that to Bible school. I said, oh, all right, so I got to go now. So, and my brother was already living in Tampa area. So I was like, you know what? I'll find a school out there. And I always wanted to be closer to my bigger brother. You know what I'm saying? My oldest brother. And shout out to Pete. You know what I'm saying? So, so that's what I did. I found a school like 45 minutes away from where he lived. You know what I'm saying? And I just shipped myself to Florida. You know what I'm saying? I went out there. It was an all-white blondet, right? I was in an all-white school, and I'm a hood cat with the hoodies on and pulling up like, yo,
Brooklyn.
What up?
We're Brooklyn.
You know what I mean? You know, and all they did was wearing Sapat. They had Sapat short pants and a t-shirt. And I'm over here trying to get on fly. Like, nah, bro, that's not what we do here. You know what I'm saying? So, but in that moment, I was growing. But prior to going to Bible school, I was going to a lot of Bible studies. It's like I felt like he was playing catch up with me, because he knew that I was wasting so many of my years. You know what I'm saying? And I'm already 22. At this point, I'm 22. So now God's like, oh no, we gotta do some work on you. So I ran into Bible school, and didn't get to finish that school particularly, because I ended up having a nervous breakdown in writing a paper.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And yeah, I think there you go with the enemy coming and trying to, keep me from fulfilling purpose right now. And not only that, me not mastering the carnal nature, you know what I'm saying? Because as a believer, because in Bible school, don't think because people are in Bible school that they're holy and they sanctified. You know what I'm saying? A lot of us were still struggling in those areas of the flesh. You know what I'm saying? So I think that was some of the doors that allowed the enemy to come and still do what he did, whatever, right? So anyway, came back. Thank God I got my degree eventually, right? You know what I'm saying? But by me coming back, that's when I got an opportunity to meet my wife, and we started our journey together. We're going on to we just celebrated 13 years of marriage, 15 years together. So
congrats.
Yeah, best decision I ever made after Christ. So, you know what I mean?
So, to wrap this up, what is advice that you would want to give the youth out there that was, on the same path that you were in? Like, what are the advice that you want to give?
I would say 3 things, okay? And I'm just saying this off the top right now. The first thing is listen to your elders, okay? Sunday gamun yo. Right? They say bush yo man, the bush yo kasanti man, power your deuce, right? So you have to listen to your elders because they've been somewhere that you haven't been.
Mm-hmm.
They know this God better than you know this God, right? So if they tell you about that friend, yo, that dude right there, like I had a lot of relationships where my dad was like, that guy, watch out for that person, watch out, and I didn't listen, but I found out later it hurt more.
Right.
So number one, listen. Number two, stay in the church.
Yes.
Stay in the church, and not only the physical location, but I would say stay among believers, people that are like-minded, people who love Jesus the way you desire to love Jesus, or you love Jesus that way. You know what I mean? Surround yourself with like-minded individuals. They said A alike, B alike, so we see alike. So you want to be around people that can sharpen you when you're down. You don't want to be around, people that's outside of what God plans for you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And the last thing I would say is dig in the word. Stay in the word, dig in the word until you find something, until you leave and extract something from the word. All right. So you dig in the word, stay in the word, and extract from the word. You know what I mean? You have to take some life lessons from the word because that's the thing that's going to really strengthen you and keep you along the way. So I would just say that stay there. You know what I mean? Listen to the gummoons. You know what I'm saying? Stay in church, stay around fellowship. You know what I'm saying? Lastly, I gave you a 3-point sermon right there, right? And then lastly, you know what I'm saying? Stay in the word, extract from the word, get the word.
Yes. Your ministry, you have music coming out. Let's get into your ministry before we actually end off. Yeah.
So I have a single I just released. I've been releasing music ever since I got saved. I mean, I would just, again, like I said, one of my first, I got like 4 albums out now. But my last, I'm currently working on an album called Hammer and Nail. The first single off the album, you'll see the video on YouTube. It's called Journey. Journey, and just put in the artist name Second Life, 2NDLYFE. That's just telling the 5-year journey that I had from leaving New York, going to Florida, experiencing what we experienced as me and my family, to come back during the COVID pandemic and all that, right? So that's expressing that. But God inspired me to make a whole project talking about hammer and nail. The whole, and it's a storyline where the nail is trying to get wisdom from the hammer. Like, yo, hammer, why do you keep pounding me? Why do you allow trials and tribulation to keep inflicting me? You know what I'm saying? And the hammer saying, it's not me, it's my boss that uses me to pound on you. Wow. And all he's doing is really trying to make you solidify. He's trying to ground you in whatever you're called to keep that thing together. So there's really good coming out of the pounding. You know what I'm saying? And that's the message I'm trying to convey to a lot of the people out there. A lot of us feel like, yo, we're forsaken. God, where you at? Why my uncle died? Why my auntie died throughout the pandemic? But God always has good. He always has a ram in the bush. There's always something that he's trying to teach us. Somehow, if we're still here and we're still alive, there's some good that he's working out. You know what I'm saying? The Bible says in Romans, right? All things work together for good, right? To those who are called according to his purposes, right? So even the good, bad, and ugly, it's all working together for his glory. You know what I mean? So that's the music. I got some, I got the album coming out. Like I said, I got a single about to drop called Pray About It. Pray about it. It's featuring Supers. It's featuring God's Gift Pete. You know what I'm saying? Peter Matea. And it's produced by my boy Unseen. And it's just some amazing content. And I got some more stuff working out. If y'all want to follow more, my social media feeds will be there. Second Life or lifelines.co. You know what I'm saying? That's where my website, I got merch. You know what I'm saying? This is not up on the site yet, but there's a new joint that we're working on. You know what I'm saying? You got it on the hoodie, the whole.
Oh, wow. Okay, on the hoodie. Okay.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So we got a lot that I'm doing, but in order to stay connected, I would say number one, if you could subscribe to the YouTube page, you know what I mean? That's Lifelines, you know what I mean? INC. You can find my information there. And I'm also working on a book soon. So I got a lot of different things I'm working on. So it's a lot, but let me just digress from right there.
Okay. Thank you so much, brother, for joining us. We are so honored to have you here, sharing your testimony. And I'm sure this will touch so many people out there. We are blessed. We are very, very blessed. It touched me. You have the Women's Conference.
Yeah. Came a long way, man. hurdles, a lot of bumps in the road, trials and tribulations, but we're still here. The journey. Let's go. Yeah, come on. Yeah. 2015, moved out of Queens. Hey, wifey searching for jobs, got intervened. Yeah, on a 9-5, heading out to Palm Bay. In the blue Explorer, forging a new way. 1501, we hit our destination. Yeah, good vibes, good hood, good location. Stayed home with my little man's eye, lining up in school, wifey working on that 9 to 5. It was a blessing indeed, but I couldn't see it. Headed to church Dola with the kids on the weekend. When I think back on it, I got to spend time with my young generals, shaping their minds. But while in the moment, thought I had to hustle, putting content out, trying to bubble. You could do a good thing in the wrong time, like they said the grass ain't greener on the other side. You're stronger, you're wiser, you're seasoned. And all that you've been through, there's a reason. When you look back on it, it is you who you are. Speak to yourself, it was never a waste of time. Yo, you're stronger, you're wiser, you're seasoned. And all that you've been through, there's a reason. When you look back on it, it is you who you are. Speak to yourself, it was never a waste of time. 2017, baby girl was born. Wifey got accepted to the school, so we blew the horn. A dual degree, we didn't know what we were signing for. Things got realer, but we knew we were pleasing the Lord. I put out Lifeisms, my first book. Bad publisher, wasn't a good look. 2018, we took a leap of faith. Wifey went to school full time, didn't hesitate. The Lord spoke, so we obeyed. Then moved out of Palm Bay, right back on the highway. Let's just say that God came through for us in the nick of time. We had to minimize. Did it hurt? Yeah, we lost a lot. Lost my pops and Jeff. Lots of tears was dropped. Hey, life has a way of throwing you punches. If you fall, get up, continue running. Yo, you're stronger, you're wiser, you're seasoned. And all that you've been through, there's a reason. When you look back on it, it is you who you are. Speak to yourself, it was never a waste of time. Yo, you're stronger, you're wiser, you're seasoned. And all that you've been through, there's a reason. When you look back on it, it is you who you are. Speak to yourself, it was never a waste of time. Yo, 2020, we back on the road. We said yes to the Lord, headed to New York. Didn't know that Corona would be waiting for us. So many died among us, but God kept us. We lost so many in these New York streets. When it slowed down, Corona hit that Florida heat. His grace alone is the reason we're still here. Through it all, wifey graduates this year. Although we're not where we wanna be, we gon' persevere. And trust God through the journey, live with no fear. He makes no mistakes, whatever he's doing is great. Had to learn that the hard way, man, he could relate. My story one day will be in a book, helping you find life in my lines, I'm giving you truth. Life has a way of teaching you lessons, and everything I've been through was a blessing. Yo, you're stronger, you're wiser, you're